Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Glad you could all be here. You know, yesterday I was sitting at the house, just hanging out, enjoying the afternoon. I was listening to Sirius XM radio on the TV out here in the Florida room, whatever you want to call this. Fancy people call it lanai. It's always been a Florida room to me. Anyway, I was listening to channel 27, The Bridge, and the description says they play mellow classic rock. Well, all this mellow classic rock is from the 1970s. And, you know, back in the 70s, I would call this my music because that's what I was listening to. So, you know, I got to thinking about all the things that's gone away from the 70s, you know, the early 80s, whatever, how you ever want to look at it, and how things have changed over the years, both good and bad. So I thought, let's take a little walk down memory lane. See where we end up here today. So, from phones to shopping to entertainment, some might say, oh, I remember that. So let's just take a walk back into the 70s in no particular order, and let's reminisce a little bit. I wish I could play some music in the background, but I know I'd get hit by YouTube. So let's just start out with phones. Who remembers rotary dial phones? Everybody had a rotary dial phone. And if you were fancy or rich, you had a rotary dial wall mount phone in the kitchen for some reason. But anyway, you know, you really had to commit to calling somebody, because if you got through that last number and it was the wrong number, you had to start all over again. 7 more numbers. Privacy. How many people had a party line? You know, you could tell when somebody was on the line listening, but they try to be quiet and not say anything. But party lines, God, that seemed like it was forever ago. And, you know, you're trying to talk to a girl, you know, you're trying to be all sweet, and the phone cord's never long enough. You got to try and get away from your family, and you drag that phone just as far down the hall as you can, and it was just never long enough, was it? Now, fast forward to today. You know, we got smartphones. We got phones that are smarter than most of us anyways. They're amazing, but sometimes, you know, I think they're too smart. My phone corrects me. It corrects my spelling. I'm recording on my phone. This is what I use to record my videos on. I just can't, I don't understand them. I never will, probably. Let's talk about shopping. You know, back in the day, you'd go to the grocery store and you'd pay with cash. Or you'd break out that checkbook and they got the little check writing stand there, and you'd write out your check. And of course, if you didn't have the money and you were at the Kmart, you know, Walmart wasn't a thing then, and you had to put it on layaway, and you make payments each week. Every payday, you'd go in and make a payment on your layaway until you could actually pay for it and get it out of there. Who remember? I had a hard time coming up with this video, folks. I'm telling you right now, just some of the things I was thinking about. Who remembers the Sears catalog? Man, when you were a kid, you'd sit down and you'd circle every toy, everything you'd ever want. And then later in life, of course, you're a teenager. Now you're circling all the neat stereo equipment. You know, nowadays when you go shopping, you go to the grocery store, it's either a credit card or a debit card. Nobody uses cash anymore. Nobody uses a check anymore. Now you've got self-checkouts telling you if you haven't put something in the bagging area, they stop the entire process. So, you know, you just can't win there. How about online shopping? Didn't have Amazon back in the 70s. There was no online shopping. There was no online, for that matter. That's how new it is. You know, nowadays, you pick up your phone, again, get on your computer, Start surfing Amazon, see what they've got, see what you gotta have. You know, now it's like Christmas. If you screw up and hit the wrong button, you're getting a package delivered to your house tomorrow. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's definitely not like it was in the 70s. How about entertainment? You know, entertainment's changed a lot too. Who remembers drive-ins? Man, drive-ins, they were the place to be. And when you became a teenager and you got to drive, well, that changed everything, let me tell you. The drive-in just became the greatest make-out place on the planet Earth. Whew. Now, I'm just going to leave it at that. How about music? You know, music, we had vinyl records. And, you know, if you scratched your record, you just learned to live with it. That's just the way it was. How about TV? You waited all week to watch your favorite program. And if you missed it, you missed it. There was no going back. There was no rewinding or watching it the next day on some streaming platform. It just disappeared forever. Now today, you can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. You can watch whole seasons in an afternoon if you've got the time. Let's go back to music, though. With today's smartphone, you got thousands of songs in your pocket. And I still can't find anything I want to listen to except for music from the 70s. That's when music was music, folks. That's all I can say. Who remembers watching Happy Days? The Brady Bunch, Charlie's Angels. MASH was my favorite. How about the $6 Million Man? You know, everybody had a TV antenna and everybody knew what aluminum foil was for. The only way to fix your TV. And here's the deal. You got ABC, NBC, CBS, and if the wind was blowing the right way, you got one UHF channel. Usually it was channel 44. And that was it. Now, what? You got thousands of channels. And back then, you had to get up off your butt, walk to the TV, and change the channel. Now you don't even have to do that anymore. Thank God for remote controls. You know, just some other random things. Who could ever forget the Polaroid Instamatic camera? Slap that film canister in the back, snap a picture, wait 60 seconds, and out comes a picture. Amazing. And we thought that was just the greatest thing since sliced bread back in the 70s. Who had a lava lamp? I think we all did. At one point or another, either in our very late teens or early 20s, everybody had a lava lamp in their house. You remember these things? 45 records. You know, the little 6 or 7 inch round with the great big hole in the center. You had to pop that disc in so you could play it on your record player because you could never find that spindle that fits down over top of the regular spindle when you wanted to play a 33 1/3. So I hated those things. What about cassette tapes? You know, some would always screw up and the tape would come spraying out. So what do? You take a pencil and you start rewinding it back up. After that, then we got 8-track tapes. God, I hated those things. They were big, they were bulky, but God, we loved our music. How about a full-size album? You guys remember those? 33 1/3 usually had 5 or 6 songs on one side and 5 or 6 songs on the other side. Back in the mid-70s, an album, or an LP as they used to call them, it cost anywhere from $5 to $7. Can you imagine? $5 to $7. Today, they're collector items. They don't start anything less than $25. I'd be willing to bet. Who wore bell-bottoms? Bell-bottom jeans. Then they came out with elephant bottom jeans that were just massively huge. Platform shoes. I know all the girls used to wear platform shoes. How about tie-dyed t-shirts and just regular shirts? That was the thing, man. That was the thing. And if you're downtown shopping, I say downtown shopping because they didn't have malls back then. If you were downtown shopping and you needed a ride, what'd you do? You found a payphone and you dug in your pocket for 10 cents or 15 cents. If you didn't have the right change, you were screwed. You didn't make no phone call until you went to a store and found somebody that could break 2 quarters for you or whatever it is you needed to do. So much has changed over the years. Some of it makes us laugh, some of it makes us shake our heads, and some of it you really do miss. But no matter what, we lived through some amazing times. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you miss the most about the 70s, about growing up. Tell me what you secretly like about today. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd really like some great memories to share. Folks, if you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane, give me a like. Maybe subscribe to my channel. Thumbs up would be wonderful. I just want to say thank you for watching, and until next time, folks, keep smiling.